Fluffy and Fuzzy got married. That night came the honeymoon.
She's faking it.
Who's a little like water and oil?
Brandy and Mr. Whiskers.
What's in the kettle and ready to boil?
Brandy and Mr. Whiskers.
So I've been doing these videos for like 7 or 8 years. And you know, every once in a while, up until about like last summer, I'd occasionally take a, como se dice, break. Each break has its own story, but this break right here comes from me trying to review Brandy and Mr. Whiskers, getting writer's block and saying, fuck it, we're doing Pepper Ann. So, you know, that obviously means that this show is cursed, and I told myself that I'd never touch it again. Oh shit, wait. Brandy and Mr. Whiskers is a Disney Channel animated series that ran from 2004 to 2006 about a hyperactive rabbit named Mr. Whiskers and a spoiled rich puppy named Brandy Harrington. She's a, bitch.
Oh, I like that you use the technical term for a female dog.
They fall out of an airplane one day, landing right in the middle of the Amazon, and the show kind of chronicles them adapting to how Amazon animals live, mostly Brandy. Whiskers kind of just like doesn't care. After a while, he just kind of becomes like content with what's going on around him. Brandy just kind of tries to make the best out of the situation, but every once in a while, a weird opportunity will rise and she'll start beasting to go home, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're stranded.
Yes, the rainforest accounts for much of what goes into our healthcare and beauty products. That's why it's so important to... Wait, hello? Are you even listening?
Every time I end up doing one of these videos on any of these Disney Channel animated series, I always agree before doing the rewatch, which is a concept that leads to varying degrees of success. But I was pretty excited to see where this one took me. All right, so before we begin, we actually have a sponsor today. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't believe it either.
Ooh, let me see. Oh wait, I can't read.
Today's video is brought to you by the service Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of different classes covering dozens of different creative skills taught by well-versed professionals. Premium membership actually provides you with unlimited access, so you can join whatever classes and communities you think are right for you. Whether you want to like fuel your curiosity, creativity, or even just like your career, Skillshare is honestly the best place for you to continue to develop whatever it is. Like if you're into animation like I am, I suggest looking at Jack Bartlett's class on animating with character. There's a dope section about walk cycles which really helped me, since before that I used to just give my characters the Proud Family bounce, know what I mean? Skillshare is also wild affordable, especially when compared to pricey in-person classes and workshops. I wish I would have started using Skillshare before I went to college. I don't understand how much stress and money I could have saved. I have 6 research papers due by midnight. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month. But if you want to do some kind of trial, you can follow the link in the description and actually get 2 months completely free. Just go to Skillshare.com/toonrifictariq. Skillshare.com/TOONRIFICTARIQ for 2 months completely free.
We need hip hop till we can't stop.
And the stuff with the horns, too.
I remember when this was first coming out, Disney was running around marketing this show as Bling Bling meets Ding-a-ling. Doesn't that mean... Oh, hold on. Yeah, okay, no, that means dick.
My ding-a-ling, my ding-a-ling. I want you to play with my ding-a-ling.
This act is over.
Rewatching the show was cool because the intro made me happy literally every time I heard it. It never got old. I think it has something to do with the laugh right before the guy starts to sing. That shit is so cool, it just adds so much personality. That's sort of why I did it in my student film, Back to You. Imagine if other films did that. So midway through, I decided to look into who actually recorded this record, and
a little bit of Monica in my life, a little bit of...
that makes sense. The intro has some original animation, but for the most part, it's put together like one of those montages at the end of my videos or something. Shit, they just like did my job for me. Why don't I just use this? Oh shit, right. Brandy and Mr. Whiskers was a show that I was kind of fearful for when we watching it, I'm not gonna lie. I remember the characters being really fun and the stories being hilarious, but it is one of those cartoons that was, como se dice, wild? I don't know, I always kind of felt like these kind of zany cartoons really could work, but it depends on if the humor is clever, I feel like. And for a while, I was kind of scared for this show. I mean, the first joke is a shit joke.
Sorry.
But it grew on me. At its worst, it's doing really bad fart jokes, but at its best, it's doing some of the funniest shit I've seen since Emperor's New School. I've definitely died laughing a couple times.
You know that thing.
Her name is Isabel.
How do you know?
I heard it on the wind.
The stories are all pretty weird and fun. They really push this concept to the fullest and break the rules at all the right times. What really stood out to me was how clever it ended up being. Granted, it could sometimes be a little too on the nose, but I kind of feel like that's the point.
I can't take it anymore! You and me so don't work, Whiskers. We're like water and oil!
I know. I heard the theme song too.
Brandy as a character is kind of tricky because she's not only supposed to be rude and snobby, but one half of the main cast. The writers had to work really hard to keep those rich girl traits in mind while also creating a character that the audience didn't mind seeing. I was gonna compare her to Courtney from As Told by Ginger, but then in the middle of writing this, I realized that she reminds me of Clover from Totally Spies.
You realize you have to review Totally Spies now, right?
Oh my god! She doesn't grade the nerves or anything like that. Brandy's honestly a lot of fun. Ultimately, they opted to make it really prominent that we know that she cares about Whiskers, which honestly isn't something that I was expecting, especially not so early on in the run. She saves his life countless times and sets him up for failure a lot. Like, a lot. But I think it works because every single time she does so, we immediately see her remorse. Or, I mean, whenever it's not one of those montages like the one I just showed. They play that shit with alternating clips at least 3 times throughout the show's first season. This shit is sick. It's like when the second episode of Clerks Animated was a clip show.
You realize you
I have to review Clerks Animated now, whatever.
No. I was gonna say we don't know what that is. You keep making references we don't get.
When am I gonna get a real job? The relationship between these two is really strong, and I can't even tell you how surprised I am by that. I know there's a line in the theme song saying that their relationship is akin to brother and sister, but you really believe it by the end of it all. They're always trying to protect one another.
That's what I need to tell you. He plans to eat you.
Yeah, bro.
Oh boy. I guess that means he'll eat us now.
Oh, what? Oh, shit, that's what he meant. I don't know, it didn't feel like it when watching this, but I guess Mr. Whiskers is the character I have the most problems with when I look at my notes. Whiskers is by no means a bad character. His lines are always delivered great. Charlie Adler smokes his performance here, and he's written to be annoying. To me, he doesn't really jump into unbearable territory like I could see him doing for some other people. No, for me, I have a problem with how wildly inconsistent his characterization could be. Once they establish Brandy is mean, that remains a constant. She definitely gets pushed, but you could expect that from this like sort of cartoony writing style. Whiskers sometimes stands up for what's morally right, but other times he's just all for the fuckery. There's this episode where he gets caught reading Brandy's diary, and no matter how many times Brandy tells his goofy ass to chill out, he just like keeps going. Doesn't even apologize. He just goes around telling everybody her personal secrets and shit. Jesus Christ, ain't nobody tell his rabbit no snitching? I don't know, I guess it's fitting. 6ix9ine kinda does look like a rabbit, huh?
Fucking dummy! Are you dumb?
And I'm not even gonna bring up how this nigga just like says he can't read in the episode after this, because that happens. I'm just saying that when you see him in other episodes where he's literally begging Brandy to consider the feelings of others or do the right thing, him blatantly invading her privacy with no remorse at the end is just kind of weird from a characterization standpoint. Not to mention he does like the wildest shit for no real reason. Brandy tells this nigga not to touch her scarf one time. So you know this nigga touched the scarf. He gets it fucked up, tries to get it back, fucks his fur up in the process. Tells Brandy he's 77 and that's why he lost his fur, so now she feels bad and shit. Gets the homies to help him grow more fur so he could use it to make a new scarf and dye the shit red. Then the nigga fur grows in too much. Then it's just like, why would you,
Like a scarf!
hide the scarf, huh? Why would you, huh? And this nigga's like a fucking racist. Like dead ass. There's one episode where Brandy wants to date this tiger and he's like, something's off about that guy. Then there's another where a bat moves in next door and thinking he's a vampire, and he's like, Mind you, this nigga has no reason to judge either of these guys. He's just kind of prejudiced off rip. I've seen these stories a million times. We all have. The guy gets proven wrong and learns why you shouldn't stereotype. But like, he's right both times. Like, why the fuck is he right? Granted, the vampire tells him off, whoa, you guys are so quick to judge. But that doesn't really work if you're right about the nigga, man. Fuck around and call this shit Brandy and Mr. I Hate Niggas.
A few more times, please.
Wait, hold up. Is that? No, dead ass. Pay attention to the beat. I think that's... Brandy and Whiskers definitely get the most focus. I don't really think there's an episode that specifically spotlights any singular character, but the ones that we're surrounded by are really a lot of fun to watch. Ed is a long-winded otter who acts as Whiskers' guy best friend, who I remember being around more than he actually was, but I guess not. He's not non-existent by any means. I'm just not sure why I remember his presence being stronger. Lola, a boa constrictor with a Spanish accent, who's the closest female companion to Brandy. I love these earrings they gave her. This shit is hilarious. Her being a snake makes me really nostalgic. Reminds me of a bunch of my friends from high school. And Gaspar, a gecko that either wants to eat Brandy or have sex with her, like a lot of you nasty niggas. And in this corner, we have stereotypical black woman birds.
You calling me out? Nuh-uh. I'm calling you ugly. You just crossed the beaten line, girl.
Cheryl and Meryl are two twin toucans who fight and argue with each other. Wish there was more I could tell you about their characters, but there isn't.
Meryl and Cheryl are fabulous stock girls.
They're voiced by Shorty that used to be on The View. Or Sherry from Sherry. Y'all was outside for Sherry? Yo, if any of my audience even slightly remembers the existence of this show, I know that my reach is exactly where I want it to be. I mean, if that's what we're talking about, the first thing I noticed about Brandy and Mr. Whiskers is that the cast is wild stacked and they all do great jobs. The voice talent really helps give the show its identity. I already mentioned Charlie Adler as Whiskers, but there's Tom Kenny as Ed, El Tigre as Lola, apparently. Yeah, no, that's what I said. So this is how I found out that Billy's mom, Miss Keene, and Madison are all voiced by the same woman. Because she voices Margot here, who was too boring for me to write anything in this script about her beyond this sentence.
Thank you.
So I was wondering how I was gonna wrap up this voice acting section of the video, but then I thought, I thought I'd go out with a big bang.
Gee, Penny, you're smarter than I thought. You may be the one in school, but I'm the one who learned the lesson. I'm so stupid, Penny. Duh.
So apparently Brandy is voiced by Penny from The Big Bang Theory, and I don't know how I feel about this. She's fucking great as Brandy. Every line read is phenomenal. It just kind of blew my mind.
Okay, I'm just gonna walk away because I don't want to be here.
You are lucky. You're right. I can't explain it, but I'm gonna rub your feet and we'll be saved.
Man, I don't even know how I'm supposed to finish this video now. I'm like in complete shock. There's nothing else to say.
At times like this, I guess all you can do is laugh.
Hey everybody! Want to learn how to draw Mr. Whiskers?
No!
Most animated series are animated in foreign territories, Korea being an extremely common one. I kept trying to catch which studios had their hands on Brandy and Mr. Whiskers at the end of the credits, but instead they just kind of showed the Disney logo. For a while I thought it was actually done in-house, but they show the actual studio names in the credits in the second season. And it's 1000% one of those shows where the difference in look between the studios is crazy apparent. To be fair, it's not Animaniacs. Nigga, Yakko look like he off them Xannies to the max, know what I mean?
Yakko, can you conjugate?
Oh, me? I've never even kissed a girl.
One thing to note is that the credits actually list all of the animators by name, which you'd be surprised how uncommon that is. It's gotta be cool to see your name up there.
There I am, Gary, there I am!
Niggas could've just like ended up doing what Blue Sky did at the end of that Ice Age short and just say, yo, thanks my guy. So I was unaware of this before, but these are some concept designs for the show done by character artist Steve Moore. He was brought on to do the original designs, but the executives kept pushing it to like make him go weirder and weirder until he just literally couldn't afford to work on it anymore because they weren't paying him enough for all these revisions. Imagine working OD hard on character designs, keep being told to make them weirder and crazier, then years later you go to look up and see what this weird ass show is that they wanted in. You see this.
Ow, my pride.
Alright, so let's talk about over animation because it's something that this show does a lot. It might actually be my biggest problem with it. You can tell that they told themselves to push a lot of these poses and actions, and that's great, but there's definitely such thing as doing too much of that. This right here is a clip from the intro that I always remembered. A majority of clips in the intro are taken from episodes of the first season, like I said, so it was really fun to find the little bits that I recognized. Saying that to say, look at this clip again. Okay, now look at the scene that the clip comes from.
So it's like a mall? Yeah, I guess. What's a mall? Oh, wow, a mall! I could really use some stuff, but I can't. I'm babysitting today.
For the nature of the scene and the reading of the line, Brandy does not have to be this expressive. It almost takes you out of the scene. Other than that, the animation on the first season occasionally gets a bit sloppy. That's kind of to be expected. The characters aren't really cleaned up too well. The outlines get a little too thick sometimes and they just kind of like flop around on occasion. Yeah, and they kept drawing Brandy's arms wild short in the beginning of the run. I feel like that made me angrier than it should have. The animation is really vibrant, bright, and colorful at its best. It's crazy expressive for television, especially in 04. These backgrounds are just like so great looking, and this color palette, it's so great. It's bright, but it's not like too bright. I love it. The animation cleans itself up in the second season, but it definitely varies, mostly in Whiskers' design and animation more than anyone else, since he's the most expressive. Some episodes he has his normal design, but in others he's really loosely animated. I tend to like these a little more. He reminds me of Billy from Billy and Mandy here. In the first episode of the second season, he looks like an in-between of both of these that we don't really see for the rest of the season, not even in the second segment in the episode. I was trying to figure out what it was that was different about his design, but it was actually my girlfriend who pointed out that his chin is more prominent in the episode. It kind of like pushes his mouth up, making him open to a lot of great poses.
Hello?
Hey, so I'm doing the Brandy and Mr. Whiskers video. Tell everybody about how you found that animation detail in his chin.
When are you going to get a real job?
I thought this was just a director thing, like how you can spot little differences in certain directors' styles on like Phineas and Ferb. But the same director does other episodes that don't look like this, so I'll just chop it up to being a studio thing. There aren't any wild, crazy changes done in the second season by any means. Everything stays pretty much the exact same, aside from a miscellaneous character that gets added here or there. But they do introduce this mall that wasn't there before, designed to give them much more to do, which is kind of weird. There's an episode in the first season where Brandy literally asks these niggas if they had a mall, and they just kind of look at her like she's a fucking talking dog or something.
Has this place been here the whole time? Of course! We would have mentioned it sooner, but there's a very good reason we didn't.
They play around with the formula a little bit. They do the whole, hey, the exact same thing happened to me bit, like twice. I prefer this one over the one with the brown dog because niggas can be heebie-jeebies. Or jinkies, as everyone's saying. Alright, so I pretty much spoiled myself when it comes to these Disney Channel animated series. I don't know, I think because of the past track record that I have with these, I just sort of got the impression that they all had their own endings. Cusco graduates, Todd and Riley meet their uncle, American Dragon kind of does a lot that I don't feel like describing. The whole time rewatching this, I was interested to see how they'd end it. Honestly, no, fuck that. The whole time watching it, I was wondering how the hell are they going to get them out of this Amazon, because that just sounds like the right way to end a show like this. Except they don't. The last episode of the show has Whiskers getting bitten by a bunch of little frogs while trying to do something for Brandy. And the frogs are supposed to make you like sleep for 50 years. Then it like turns into the bucket list. You ever saw the bucket list with that guy that married his step-granddaughter? Yeah, me neither. They go through this list of things that Whiskers always wanted to do. One that they skip being kiss a pretty girl. Once the list is done, he comes home and all the homies decided to make him a bed for pretty much for him to like die on. You know how long 50 years is, my nigga? I can barely sleep for 50 minutes.
But in the end, I realized all that stuff on my list didn't matter.
What? And you say it didn't matter? How could the list not matter?
Well, because all I wanted was to spend time with my best friend in the world, Brandy Harrington.
Oh, Whiskers?
He says he didn't get to kiss the pretty girl like on his list. Brandy works up the courage and gives him a kiss off screen. I guess Disney's not progressive enough to show two different species kissing. Guess that isn't decent. I don't know why they acting like that. Meanwhile, Nickelodeon was out here airing the first interracial kiss in a children's cartoon. Yep.
I hope I qualify as a pretty girl.
Oh, only the prettiest in the entire universe.
After this, Whiskers goes to sleep as Brandy cries.
I know you can't hear me, but I just hope that in your 50 years of dreams, you get to have even half as much fun as I've had sharing this jungle with you.
But then he wakes up, finds out that the frogs weren't poisoned, and the show ends. If I could begin to be face ass. Yeah, nigga, me too. From what I've seen happen to other shows, it seems like the crew didn't really know whether or not this was gonna be the finale. So they made something that doesn't change the status quo enough so more episodes could possibly be produced or something like that. It's kind of a shame, but not really. While I would have loved an overly sappy joint where Brandy and Whiskers get rescued and say goodbye to everyone, and the show was relatively decent enough at sweet moments, I could see how they picked this story to be their last. It's a farce, it's just kind of like the rest of the show's run. And Brandy crying over Whiskers really shows how far they've come as friends since the show started. It's really, como se dice, sweet? Is that racist? Nah, it can't be racist. Or is it?
Side by side.
Doing these videos has really made me appreciate different kinds of animated series, I would say. I've learned to love the adaptations, the lighthearted, the mundane, the replacements, but now I've learned to appreciate the silly. Brandy and Mr. Whiskers is bonkers. It goes all over the place, but that's what makes it enjoyable. The characters and the connection that they share as friends definitely feels earned, and it was a treat seeing them on screen again after all these years. If you enjoyed this as a kid, peep it again. It's a good time. What can you say? I had, como se dice, fun.
Ay, 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 Brandy and Mr. Whiskers.
A bodyguard for Oprah back in 2007. Do you remember how big Oprah was in 2007?
Alright, so there's normally like a music video, some kind of like AMV or something that I do at the end of these videos to kind of celebrate the show that I'm talking about, and I did 2 of these for this video, but they all somehow managed to get copyright claimed, and I couldn't deal with that anymore. So in the description I have 2 links to both of them if you want to see them. I prefer the first one more than the second one, but I didn't want to leave you guys without them, and I'm too proud of both of them to like not put them out. But thanks for watching.